Hello everybody, welcome back to Mecha Rewatch. I'm Cossack11, and with me as always is my co-host Lawn Dragon.
Hi there.
And we're going to be covering episodes 13 and 14. No, 12 and 13. I am a moron.
11 and 12.
Not 11
No?
and 12. No, we watched 11 last time.
Oh.
Because remember, we started on episode 1.
Okay, I had it in my head that 10 to 11 was where the weird
No,
thing...
no,
No, it was 11 to 12. That's
it was
even
11
weirder.
to 12. Yes. And I was a moron and wrote down the wrong episodes in my notes. Well, no, I wrote down the right episode for episode 12. I just wrote down episode 14 on the wrong page. Okay. Anyway, we are on episode
We watched
12.
some episodes of Gundam Wing.
Look, there's
Who
a lot
knows?
to take in these two episodes, despite there not being many cuts.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's mostly good. Some of it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
Some of it's a little odd.
Yeah. So we've been teasing it for a while now, but episode 12 is the Wufei episode.
Yeah, we have a Wufei-centric episode, and it's just as dumb as you expect from a Wufei-centric episode.
Yeah. But we don't start with Wufei.
No.
Oh, this is also, before this episode, Lon did finally learn how Heero's first name is spelled.
I found out that it is in fact spelled Heero. I always thought it was Hiro, which is a perfectly normal name.
Well, yeah, that's a real Japanese name that's
Yeah.
pronounced that way. So yes, I can understand why that, because I thought the same thing until I saw it.
No, he's just literally the hero of the show.
He's literally
But with an
Heero
extra E
Yuy.
for
Yeah. Well,
edge.
you know, so that they can say, no, we didn't totally just name him Heero.
Look, there's going to be a lot of weird stuff with names going forward.
Yeah. So, Heero's not dead.
Of course not.
Heero's not dead.
He's the hero.
No, of course not. No, the episode starts with him in bed, all bandaged up.
No opening blurb.
No opening blurb.
Kind of a little bit of a recap of, like,
the last
Heero
episode. Yeah.
dying.
Last couple episodes,
But-
really. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of the very immediate events up to this episode.
Yeah. And he wakes up to a news report that's talking about how Oz is going around and suppressing the remaining Alliance militaries.
Yeah.
As well as other just straight up national militaries that aren't part of the Alliance.
Yeah, and Oz is taking over the world. They're taking over the world. That's what they do. That's the whole plan.
That was the whole plan. And they are executing something.
Also, there's something about it having been a month.
Yeah.
Unclear if it's been a month since he exploded or since...
That's what it's implied.
Yeah.
That definitely is what it implies, which means that Heero is not unconscious. Heero is in a coma.
And apparently this circus has very good medical facilities.
Apparently, because he's at the circus, notably.
Or
with Trowa.
or superhero just doesn't need intravenous. One of his special pilot training things is that he doesn't have to eat for a month.
Well, I mean, we've already seen him reset broken bones without a splint, fall from multiple stories with barely any parachute.
Yes, but I would assume that all of that comes with an increased metabolism, not a decreased one. He has to eat more to regenerate his broken bones.
Maybe there were intravenous. Maybe Trowa stole some medical supplies and we just didn't see that part during the intervening months.
Maybe this is just the first time he's been lucid. Maybe he's been getting up and eating for a month.
Who knows?
It doesn't matter.
Who can say? What we can say is that there have been no missions given to the Gundam pilots since that incident.
Which makes sense. The colonies don't want to explode.
Yeah, well, and notably, this has caused some consternation for Trowa, because Trowa is, even more so than Heero, very focused on, I receive missions, I do missions. Yes. That is what I do. I do not know what to do now that I have no missions.
Yeah.
I legit am actually kind of at a loss.
Other than continue with his circus job.
Yeah. And he actually ponders whether or not he should also go out and self-detonate. And Heero just goes, if you do, I've got one piece of advice for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what's that? It hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Which causes Trowa to bust a gut.
Yeah,
for the first time. Not just smile, but like legit break his entire, like it just breaks Trowa.
The thought of his own death is the only thing that makes him happy.
I think it's more the fact that Heero actually cracked a joke.
I mean, also that, but
we're already getting into...
This is like the first time she's ever heard Trowa laugh.
Yeah, I mean, well, as we all know, Heero, amongst his many talents, is a renowned comedian.
Yeah, I mean, that's why
he certainly made me laugh a few times.
That's true. That's true.
But this mission, or rather, this episode's not about Heero and Trowa. This episode is about Wufei, who is currently pondering a bird's wings flapping.
Yeah, he sure is. That's all we get right here, is that he watches a bird for a bit, and then he goes, "That bird's wings sure are strong."
Yeah.
And then we cut away.
And we're gonna get some insight.
It's weird.
Yeah, we're gonna get some insight into Wufei's like mindset.
He's still wearing his like weird death gown thing.
Yeah, and also like in this episode, we are going to get we're
gonna get a lot of Wufei's philosophy in this episode.
Which is to say, he doesn't really have one.
Well, he does.
He does.
He doesn't recognize it as such, and that's very weird and convoluted.
We find out that the reason Wufei has been acting like such an absolute asshole
we'll find out in a bit, because there's another scene first.
Well, of course. Because first we have to go to Sally Poi. She's back!
Yeah.
Sally Poe's back. She's actually a really good character. I like
She's
Sally
fun.
Poi.
Yeah, she's fun.
And her gorillas are attacking a base. She is part of a gorilla
movement in this random country. They say it's like near China.
I think it's near China
or in China
China somewhere.
But it's like an independent nation.
They have declared independence, and there's actually a whole. This is the opening narrator comes back to explain the backstory of this independent nation.
Yeah,
where a leader who was a pacifist had risen up and was trying to do peace things, and then was promptly assassinated, executed via military coup.
There was a coup.
There was a military coup led by Colonel Bunt.
Yep.
Colonel
Which
Bunt.
Sure doesn't sound like a Chinese name, but okay.
I mean, he might have been the colonel assigned to this area by the Alliance. Who knows?
That's true. Maybe.
I mean, Nguyen's not African, but she was assigned to the Lake Victoria base.
But I assumed Boot was actually like from this country by the way he acts, right? Not
yeah, that's true. I don't know. He does act that way. They are about to get wiped out, these gorillas, and then Wufei does a run-in with Gundam Shenlong.
Yeah,
or as he calls it, Nataku.
Yeah, he says what is it he says here? That'll teach you to underestimate Nataku.
That happens later.
Is it later? Is it not here? At some point, he kills somebody and he yells that.
Yes.
And it's dumb.
And the way he reads it...
The way it sounds, it sure sounds like he yells, "That'll teach you to underestimate an otaku."
Yeah.
Which he is, so that's fair.
And the gorillas are like super stoked about this because they're like, "Oh, we got a Gundam on our side. We suddenly have all the military power in the region."
Right, yeah, we can win this fight.
Wufei's like, "No, that was a one-time thing. I'm not strong enough to pilot Nataku."
Yeah, I'm not sure I can pilot. Also, you're weak and shouldn't be fighting. And yeah,
this is a lot of this episode is Sally trying to explain the concept of why guerrilla forces rise up and fight.
So there's a couple of things going on here, right? We'll just get into it because this is going to be throughout this episode.
Yeah, we probably won't even go through it as quite as scene by scene, just because there's a lot to go into.
Yeah,
in terms
Wufei thinks that people who aren't stronger than their opponents should just stop fighting. And I mean, obviously, lots of people don't do that. People fight opponents stronger than them all the time.
And sometimes even beat them.
Yeah, sometimes they beat them, right? Sometimes sheer force is not the only thing that determines victory. But even beyond that, sometimes people fight in a doomed cause because they just believe it's the right thing to do, right?
Look, Wufei, I need you, Wufei, if you're out there, I need you to look into the history of the country of Vietnam.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Wufei.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Wufei.
But yeah, it's very... You know who he reminds me of? Saruman. He has the same philosophy as Saruman.
He does. He really
Power
does.
is the only thing that matters, and you just have to have the most of it, and whoever has the most of it wins, and we should join their side.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's Wufei in a nutshell. And yeah, he literally doesn't understand why these people want to fight, and they're like, well, because we believe in being free. And we'd rather die fighting for our freedom than
not be free.
And he just doesn't get it.
And honestly, this goes through like a series of frankly fairly cliched like guerrilla movie / like Magnificent
Yeah, he kind of
Seven
Rambos
stuff.
a bit.
Yeah, he does a little bit because
there's some stuff.
Like there's a scene where a shopkeeper's getting the shit kicked out of him. Sally Poi jumps in.
Sally Poi jumps in and saves him, and then
Wufei jumps in.
The three soldiers beat her up, and he saves her, and then
I have to bring this up. He gets onto a boat. Like a wooden...
Just walks
boat.
onto it. From the dock.
Yeah, walks onto it from the dock.
And it just starts floating away.
No oars. No motor.
No
motive
system. He just
whatsoever.
Stands on this boat as the river carries
him away. And he's slowly floating in a circle, too.
Yeah, it starts to spin. He has no control of this boat. He is
just
literally
floating
down shit creek without a paddle. And then the scene cuts.
He is going up a river on a boat with no paddle. And he will be handing out beatdowns.
That's true. Oh man, Wufei. Oh god.
The fiendish Dr. Wufei and his kung fu treachery.
Is the fiendish Dr. Wufei and his kung fu treachery for all the Black Dynamite.
If you don't get that reference, it's from Black Dynamite, and you should watch it.
You should watch it. It's really good. It'll make this rewatch podcast very confusing if you go episode 11 of Gundam Wing, Black Dynamite, episode 12 of Gundam Wing.
But
it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it because it's Black Dynamite. It's a fucking great movie.
It's very funny.
Yeah, so like Wufei saves the day and then negs the rebels, and then
he keeps saving them and then yelling at them for fighting. He also one of the other things going on. He won't pilot his mech.
Yeah,
they want him to just use the Gundam. Use the Gundam. We could all win. And he's like,
robot Wufei.
Yeah, get in the robot Wufei. He's not worthy of Nataku. The machine spirit is angry with him. His colony is near Mars.
Yeah.
Anyway,
very well might be.
Sure could be. What actually happens next? And we get that bar fight scene, and then
the national military finds the guerrilla hideout.
Yeah, finds the guerrilla hideout
and discusses what to do about it. And one of them posits that they should bring in Oz.
Right. Oz's mobile suits can just clean these guys up, no problem.
And they get promptly shouted down by everyone else. No, we got to do this because, like...
Crucially, the leader wants to bring Oz in. He's like, let's just have Oz do it. And all of his subordinates are like, no, we shouldn't have Oz do it. We should do it ourselves. We want to be an independent nation. Like, we need to do this ourselves.
And we
if
need
we
to
just
show,
bring Oz in, they'll just take over.
We need to show that we, as our nation's military, can deal with our nation's problems.
And he's like, oh, but what if you guys get hurt? And they're like, we are soldiers. That is literally what we signed up for.
And he goes, I understand.
Okay, sure.
I'm on board with
acquiesce.
This. He will prove that to be a false statement later.
We'll see how that goes from there. He is notably... This is Colonel Boone, incidentally. The same guy who assassinated Peaceman.
Yeah.
And he...
Unnamed Peaceman.
He's also just... He just looks evil. He's just got a malevolent aura.
He's even got the evil goatee.
Yeah. Mustache.
Oh, he has a mustache.
He has a Fu Manchu, kind of. Like, doesn't quite go down, but he has a Worf. He has the Worf.
He has one of the stock evil facial hairs.
Yes, he has evil facial hair. And he talks evil. Like, they got their evil voice actor.
Not like King, not like the former King Peacecraft, who has majestic
flowing
pacifist
beard of pacifism that can deflect bullets. No.
Well, maybe he was...
Well, the bullets don't go through the beard.
That's true.
You have to get an angle on him so that you can get around the frontal beard plating.
Yeah.
Like a dwarf.
The ablative beard.
Anyway.
All right.
So yeah, they're gonna go take out the rebels.
Yeah, they attack the guerrillas.
They attack the guerrillas. The
guerrillas attack helicopters.
Pull out some attack helicopters and mobile suits.
And MLRSs. Modern MLRSs. Yes. The rebels have
They have a Katusha. They have one Katusha.
Yeah, they have... Well, no, they have, like, 3 Katyushas, but only one actually works.
Yeah, and like, an anti-aircraft gun. And sure, good for them. They shoot, like, a helicopter down.
Yep, they shoot a helicopter down. They actually managed to take an Ares out of the sky, and then the Ares gets up and then shoots the MLRS.
Well, that's later. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's not a government area. The government doesn't have Areses.
No, they do. They have 2. They have 2. They're flying next to the plane.
Those are going to arrive later.
No. They don't shoot down an Oz Ares. No, there's government Ares in the field. They show them before Oz shows up.
Sure. Anyway, they shoot the government forces, there's a fight, and then Oz shows up.
And shoots the government forces.
Yeah, and shoots the government forces.
And they're like, what the hell? Commander, we're being
shot. They show up and they're like,
yeah.
Oz is taking over. And they're like, Commander, Oz is taking over. And he's like,
I know,
I called them.
You will all die valiantly for your country, and then and then Oz will take over, and I will be instated as Oz's puppet.
Yeah. And won't that be great for me?
And yeah, and then...
And they're like, can't you think about anything but your own rank?
And it's like, well,
he's just like, nah.
This is yet another betrayal.
And then they die. They all die.
And then they all die, yes. And then they fight the rebels, and maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, and then the rebels shoot...
Well, there was...
They shoot an Ares.
Yeah.
Now, during this whole thing, the other thing is that... Because the reason that they wanted to call in Oz, we didn't really bring this up, is because the government thought that the rebels had the Gundam on their side.
Right,
they thought they were going to be fighting the Gundam here, and they haven't been. They find the Gundam, and it's just kind of sitting there in, like...
Camo netting.
Because
really bad
Wufei's not piloting it.
Yeah.
He's not worthy. And then, yeah, they shoot down the Ares, and the Ares shoots them. Like, yeah, they shoot it down. They don't kill it. It just kind of falls out of the sky, and then stands up and shoots them. Like, because also Ares are perfectly
one
acceptable.
Dude gets a back full of shrapnel.
Yeah, in, like, the first real blood we've seen. Well, we saw a little bit of blood when Heero escaped the hospital.
Yeah.
But, like, this is, like, gory.
Yeah, like, he's got literally a back full of shrapnel.
Yeah, and he dies. And Wufei is like...
Wufei. Because Wufei has arried somehow. We don't know how he got from the
We don't know how he got that boat. He's not wet.
No.
But Wufei shows up, and they're like, please use the Gundam.
We're all dying.
We're being slaughtered. Please use the Gundam.
And then one of the guys zings, the guy who first gets a bag full of shrapnel, zings him saying, I guess I died because I was weak.
Yeah, I guess that explosion got me because I was weak.
Yeah. And I was like, woo, yeah, just like hammer the nails into Wufei.
Yeah. And then another guy, like, dies and falls on him. And is
also
like,
with a bag full of shrapnel.
Also with a bag full of shrapnel.
They're just handing out
backloads I'm dying. And Wufei's like, oh no, they're dying.
And he's like,
I don't
please
like
end this misery.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
So they're just like pleading with him as they get slaughtered.
And then...
And then he still won't do it though, right? And he talks to Sally. And he's like, you should just go, right? You're weak, you should just go.
You should run.
And she's like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna fight. And he's like, I don't know. He says it exactly, but that's an Ares staring us down.
Yeah.
With like an autocannon, and you aren't even armed, right? And she's like, I don't care, and just starts walking towards the Ares to like slap it, right? Like, she's defiant because that's how people who fight
these types of conflicts
are, right?
Yeah.
And he's
baffled by this.
Utterly baffled, but decides to save her by powering up his mech.
Well, he first saves her by blocking the Ares line of sight by firing a bunch of rockets into the ground to kick up a bunch of dust.
Yeah.
And then he decides, okay, I need to get into the robot.
And he goes and gets in the robot and kills the other guys. It takes him like 2 seconds.
And it was a pretty good fight, though.
It's pretty cool. He beats a motherfucker with another motherfucker. Yeah. Which is fun.
Always a good time to see that.
Yeah. But he, like, absolutely trashes them in, like, 3 seconds. Because, I mean, as much as we don't like Wufei, he's a competent Gundam pilot. Arguably the most competent of the Gundam pilots.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he has another philosophical discussion with...
He still doesn't get it. He still just
But he's
doesn't...
beginning to get it. And he's
beginning to believe.
Yeah, he's beginning to believe.
He takes the first step towards thinking that maybe the only people in the universe who are allowed to fight aren't the strongest? Which, I mean, I guess if Wufei's philosophy was correct, there would be no conflict. Because everyone would just recognize who the strongest is, and then no one would fight.
Yeah, he does also fail to take into consideration with that philosophy that there are people who overestimate themselves.
Yeah. I mean, amongst other things, right?
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be actually what he thinks is going on. Because he keeps telling them how weak they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he thinks the problem is that they don't understand their situation. Right? And they have to then, no, we get it. We understand that we're losing. We just don't care.
That's where his confusion comes in, is he then realizes, oh, these people know they're weak, and they're still
fighting. Yeah. Which, again, this gives us some insight into everything Wufei has acted like, right? Where because he does, when he fights these opponents who he kind of slaughters, he's so upset about it because he doesn't get why they're fighting him, right? Because he thinks that weak people should just give up, which is an interesting tie-in to what's going to happen in our next episode, actually.
Yeah.
Because Wufei is... He's not correct, but he is... sometimes one should surrender, right? Sometimes surrendering is a good thing.
Yeah.
The next episode is going to deal with surrendering a lot.
Also, leading into next episode, we come back to the circus.
We do.
Where they're discussing how they've just landed a huge gig.
Contract at an Oz base.
And Trowa's like, Oz base?
Yeah, and specifically our ringleader, Octopussy. Someone will get why that connection works. It is like...
It does work.
I want to put on a new... act. I want something new and fancy. And Trowa's like, I've got an idea, let me plan it. And they go, sure.
This kid that we hired on 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Sure, you can plan a thing. That's not weird in and of itself. It's gonna be weird next episode. Which I guess we'll get to now.
Well, they do also briefly show him driving his truck with
Isn't it the start of next episode?
I think
it
it's...
is.
Well,
it's the start of next episode.
Oh, no.
This just ends on, I'm going to plan it.
Well, right. Well, no, because this episode ends on him sitting in the cab of the truck.
Oh,
he hasn't driven it out. And he says, this will be my self-detonation show.
Yeah.
Then we go on to episode 13.
We do, in fact, go on to episode 13. It
actually didn't take as long as I thought to get through that episode.
We don't have to go scene by scene through. We can just look. This is how Wufei thinks. That's what the episode was about.
It really was. We get to episode 13, and Zechs is deploying the tall geese.
Yes.
In a performance test using live SAMs.
They are live firing missiles at him. If the tall geese doesn't do what he thinks it does, he just dies, I guess.
I guess so. How, Lady Un, how did Colonel Zechs die? Well, you see,
test pilot accident.
Yeah, test pilot accident.
Like the G-forces were too high for him?
No,
not exactly.
Yeah, cut to
just taking a missile to the face.
But that's not what happens. Instead, he shoots all the missiles down with his cannon.
Notably, the fact that he's 3 times faster than an ordinary Leo doesn't matter, because they fire the missiles and then he aims at them with the cannon and shoots, and they all explode.
Yeah.
He doesn't dodge them. There's not some aerial ballet where he avoids the missiles.
No.
And not he precision targets each one. He fires one blast that blows them all up.
Yeah,
the fact that he's in the tall geese is irrelevant.
He does a Sea-Wiz.
Well, I think even a Sea-Wiz would be more impressive, right?
Yeah.
It would individually track them and shoot them down. He fires a single blast that blows up all the missiles. I'm pretty sure an Ares can do that. I'm pretty sure we will see an Ares do that later.
Probably, and it will probably be piloted by Noin when it does so.
Probably. They both know the secret missile shoot-down technique.
Yeah, Zechs taught Noin the secret missile shoot-down technique.
Yeah, makes sense.
We cut from... notably, we cut from that... Well, we don't cut, per se. Zechs lands.
Yeah, Zechs lands.
And they talk about how the vernier... He discusses with his tech how the verniers that he's currently using are different than what are on the blueprints. And the guy's like, are you insane? Those verniers were not meant for, like, humans.
Oh, yeah, is this where we get the analysis of Gundam Wing as well? Or is it later? They're going to go over that at some point.
They will go over that. I don't know if it's now or if it's a little bit late. I think it's after...
It's all wrapped up in this discussion of how the Toggies performs. Because they go over his fight with Gundam Wing. Basically, this is interesting because it's a thing that they've been saying a lot, but that really isn't communicated by the animation at all. That these fights are happening really fast, right? Because he talks about, like, what comes up is, like, the pilot of Gundam Wing can't be human because the things that his mech is doing would, like, kill you, right?
Yeah.
They would, you know.
He's like...
And Zechs is like, yeah, that makes sense. I guess he's been modified.
They analyze the pilot by using the baseline performance of Wing Zero Gundam 01 as they call it. Not Wing Zero yet. Wing Zero hasn't come up yet.
No.
As Wing Gundam's baseline specs that they got from the...
Because they have the wreckage of Wing Gundam.
Yeah, they go through the wreckage and Zechs goes, what does the wreckage say about it? It's destroyed!
The wreckage tells him it's destroyed, which is true.
Yeah. But then he goes, this can't be right. And when Zechs inquires as to how it can't be right, he goes, apparently this pilot's not human.
Yeah.
And Zechs goes, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I was going to send a single pilot to... No, because Zechs was kind of onto this in episode 1, where he was like, the thing that's being delivered isn't the machine, it's the pilot.
Yeah. Yeah, Zechs is kind of already cottoned onto this quite early.
Yeah. He has...
This just confirms his suspicions, really.
He has Operation M's number.
Then we cut to Oz forces attacking a naval base, as is tradition.
Yeah, they do that.
And notably, it's
a Cancer and an Ares.
Yeah, it's just two mobile suits, notably piloted by
named guys with different haircuts
and glasses, like weird glasses that have like, I don't know if they're glasses holders or if they're like wired into their headsets, but notably these guys remind me of, speaking of Bond references, these guys remind me of Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint.
They do. I didn't even think about that.
They don't
have like the speech patterns.
They almost do. There's at the very beginning they're like, well done on your attack run, Mueller.
Yeah.
And you on yours, Alex.
I see it. Now that you mention it, I see it. And
They're Alex and Mueller.
Right. Shall we execute them now, Mr. Wint? Like, I can see it.
Absolutely, Mr. Kidd.
Yeah, no. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. No, they give that vibe.
Just a little bit. It's not like super spot on, but I get it.
It's very similar. It's eerily similar.
Yeah.
Reminiscent, you might say.
They're a villain duo, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they do villain duo stuff.
Notably, the Alliance forces they're attacking surrender.
The important thing in this scene is they blow up all the enemy mobile suits. And the Alliance forces are like, okay, you beat us. We surrender. And they go, oh, no. We're not accepting surrenders today, and just
commit a war crime.
Kill the rest of them. Definitely the most direct war crime we've seen so far.
Yeah, there's definitely things that, depending on who...
There's things that, depending on who your judge is in international court today, might have been war crimes previously, but this is a war crime.
This is straight up. Yeah, this is an actual straight-up war crime. They complete this mission.
Yeah, they do it.
And then they go to the base that Zechs is at, and they're requisitioning more soldiers.
Yeah, and they're like, we want your, most elite soldiers. And they're like, we don't have any elite soldiers, which is some real shade on the soldiers who actually are at this base.
Well, they're like a training / test battalion.
Yeah,
We might have elite pilots, but most of them are probably test pilots.
Right.
Which, some test pilots are combat pilots. Not all test pilots are combat pilots, though.
There's some back and forth. They kind of menace them a bit because these guys are just evil, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just.
They're.
This episode is trying to get across very quickly that these are bad guys, and it does a good job.
And notably, they do mention they're like, after they commit the war crime, they're like, Noin would be so proud of us, and I'm like...
Yeah, no. I'm not sure you've ever met Instructor Noin. I mean, supposedly they've been trained by Noin, but like...
Yeah.
I don't know how... Well, I guess Zechs will mention that at the end of this episode. We'll get to it. But yeah, definitely...
Episode, but he will mention it. At the end of this segment of the episode.
Yeah.
Because it's like half this...
Well, it's after the events of everything that happens. When he sends the message to Noin and he's like...
Yeah, but that's not the full episode.
No, correct. That is not the end of the episode.
It's this segment of the episode.
Accurate,
yeah. This episode's kind of split into two halves.
It is, yeah.
They go, well, you do actually have one elite soldier on this base.
Yeah, because Zechs Marquise is here.
Yeah, you have Zechs here. And
they're like, okay.
Okay, but we can't order him to go with you. He's a colonel. Right. I'm like a RTO. Like,
yeah. What do you want me to do about it?
And so
like,
they go,
we'll go talk to him.
Yeah. And so they enlist the aid of Colonel Zechs, who is ceding command authority to them.
Yeah, there's a weird scene. It's unclear why he does this. He just does. He's just like...
Ostensibly, his stated reason is because they are in charge of the Somali front.
Right. And so...
Because they're fighting on the Somali coast.
Yeah. He just kind of is like, yeah, okay, you're gonna be in charge of the mission. I will cede command authority to you. I'm just another pilot on this mission, which, sure,
yeah, fair enough.
And he's gonna be going in the Toggies specifically.
Yeah, we actually cut straight to the attack in progress.
This is these episodes are getting better, because previously we would have cut like back and forth between the other plot of this episode, and instead we're just doing one and then the next one,
which is so
much better.
Oh, it's so much easier to understand.
Yeah, we just get this whole plot. It's gonna make the episodes of this podcast faster too, because we just get to go through one plot in its entirety.
Yeah, and then go through the next
and
plot.
not have to track the jump cuts between them.
We get a riverboat, like a PT boat type deal.
Yeah, it's like a barge.
Yeah, like a barge going covered in branches and leaves and other assorted.
We also get the cancer being dropped into the water with an excellent musical sting.
Oh yeah, beautiful piano sting as the cancer appears.
It's
in
the exact
depths.
piano sting you expect in this moment, and it's done.
It lands really well.
Yeah.
The animation on that was also pretty slick.
It was very good.
It was excellent animation. Very good execution on that bit.
But yeah, this barge, it's covered in like grass, and then there's like a hole in the grass, and the guy is like kind of standing on it, and they're discussing the mission.
Yeah, they're discussing the attack plan, which is to have, notably, the Mogadishu base, which is what they're attacking, has this super powerful gun at it called the Noventa cannon.
Which is apparently just named after a guy named Noventa.
Yeah, he died in the plane that got cut in half by Heero earlier.
He sure did. Shame he didn't have his cannon at the time.
Yeah, shame that.
But yeah, they have this super powerful cannon, and basically it's a thing where like they could overwhelm this base, but whoever the first guy in is gonna die.
Yeah.
Right? The Noventa cannon, it's a giant cannon. It can't, like, turn and track them very well. But whoever they detect first, they are going to shoot the Noventa cannon at, and that person's dead.
Which now illustrates why they wanted more soldiers.
Right. And this is why they've gone and gotten Zechs. They think Zechs is going to be the first guy in, and he's going to get hit by the Noventa cannon, and then
they're using Zechs as bait, which also Noin would not approve of.
Well, because Noin thinks that you should be able to pull off every operation without ever losing a soldier. The Noventa cannon...
I think she's been disabused of that notion by now.
Sure, but they don't know that.
That's true.
Right. The teachings from the Book of Noin tell us that an item such as the Noventa cannon shouldn't exist. That there should never be a scenario where simply the first man in has to die.
Noin. Oh, yes.
I believe it was Noin 3:17.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not sacrifice your first man to the Noventa cannon.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, that's the plan. And they're like, I guess we'll see how the lightning count deals with giant fuck-off gun.
And
Spoiler, he does, because he's in the Tallgeese and it's 3 times faster than an ordinary Leo.
He actually just, I think he literally just flies.
He just
through,
dodges.
Yeah, he just dodges.
He just dodges.
He dodges the big cannon blast.
Yeah, literally this thing, because it fires a big cannon blast that like splits into multiple munitions and like
it's like
detonates.
This weird it fires it's like a MIRV almost, like an airburst
like
MIRV.
MIRV cannon thing. It's very weird, but regardless, they shoot it at him. There's a big radio blackout, obviously, because you just fired your giant gun and you can't see through it. And then he's not dead. And then
they're like, "Oh crap, he's not dead."
Specifically, he's gotten like closer to them in the he does the classic anime thing of like you shoot him and he like instant transmissions behind you, right?
Yeah, and he starts slaughtering their mobile suits
and blows up the Noventa cannon, and just wins the whole battle. The
other guys come in and they don't even really. They don't
have to do anything.
They do a little bit, just a little.
Blows up some boats in a cave.
Yeah, blows up some mobile suits in a cave. Blows up Ares guy. Notably, there's also another Ares guy.
Yes,
they managed to enlist like a third guy from somewhere, or fourth guy, I should say.
He's just a guy.
Yeah, he is a red shirt. He is not one of the lads, though.
No, he's just some guy.
So Zechs,
and once again, Zechs then he blows up the Noventa cannon and all their suits and is like, "You lose, right? I've disarmed you. I've destroyed all your combat capability. Surrender." And
I'm offering terms.
Right, I'm offering terms. And they go, "Yeah, absolutely. You got it, Mr. Marquis."
And Alex and Mueller commit war crime again.
War crimes again? Yeah. Nope, we're just killing them all. And Zechs loses it.
Zechs is furious.
Right. Zechs is like, I'm okay with war, but what you're doing is wrong.
Literally, I just accepted their surrender, you dumbasses.
Yeah, I'm sure if they had more time, he would go into a lengthy speech about enlightened self-interest and how surrender is actually a more effective thing for beating the enemy, and there have been entire books written about why what they're doing isn't just morally wrong, it's also tactically incorrect and strategically stupid.
Well, they also exposit a bit of
they have a bit of why they're doing this, because they think that the guys who haven't come over to Oz are the old guard that need to be eliminated for the New World Order.
And they in reality, they say all that, but in reality, and you can tell
in reality, they just get off on killing people.
They just get off on killing people.
Yeah.
And Zechs is not okay with this.
He's not okay with any of this.
No. So then he orders Red Shirtman to stop attacking, and he goes, "Guys, the colonel ordered me to stop attacking. What should I do?" And then he gets blown up by a "From hell's heart I spit at thee" from the base commander.
Yeah. And then the other two are like, "Zechs just killed that guy." Not directly, but
they literally say, "Zechs, you killed that man."
Well, they say, "Zechs, it's your fault that he died."
Yeah.
Presumably the implication is because you ordered him to stand down. If he had just kept attacking, he wouldn't have been shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He would have killed that guy long before he could have got that shot off.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's true, but
and then they make the mistake of attacking Zechs.
Yeah, they sure do attack Zechs. And again, they have one Ares and one Cancer, and
Zechs has the Tallgeese.
In the Tallgeese, Zechs could probably have beaten them in a Leo, but he's not in a Leo. He's in the Tallgeese.
Yeah. So he proceeds to
absolutely dumpsters the guy in the Ares. Just
cuts him in half in one.
Cuts him in half in one shot.
Doesn't even take a half a second.
Cancer guy is in the water, and the Tallgeese is not an aquatic mech. I mean, but it's also not totally ineffectual. And he goes down there and he takes a few shots because he doesn't maneuver nearly as well
Mueller
underwater.
gets up, thinks, I got you.
Yeah, he's like, my next shot is guaranteed to finish you off with most certainty.
Come into my element.
Yeah.
And
then
the next shot does not.
The next shot does not finish him off, and then Mueller is promptly dispatched from this mortal plane.
In most spectacular fashion, as the Tallgeese
gets behind him, grabs either side of his Cancer, and tears it in half.
literally rips it asunder.
Yeah. He is rent in twain, presumably meaning that he doesn't die to, like, a weapon going through his cockpit. He dies to his mech is torn in half, and then the water pressure kills him. Like,
well, that and the mech exploding, because it does also explode.
It does also. They all explode.
Look, if the water pressure...
I think the water pressure would have got him before the explosion.
Yeah. If it didn't, though, the overpressure wave from the explosion would have pulped him. But anyway, he is no longer.
These villains who were just introduced this episode are now gone.
They are dead. Instantly dead.
And then we get Zechs goes back to base and he gives a message to one of the lads and is like, send this to Noin. Presumably it's telling her, your dudes are fuck ups.
Well, he says what it tells her.
Well, he says, also tell her, this is why you don't just teach tactics.
Yeah. Or techniques, I think.
Technique, I think, is what he says. But this is why you don't just teach technique. Presumably meaning, he's implying that, she was deficient as a military instructor because she taught them how to pilot their mechs, but not things like the rules of war and
battlefield ethics.
And battlefield self-interest and
all sorts
and strategy.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just, again, it's not just enlightened self-interest and ethics. It's also you want to accept people's surrenders because that means they surrender to you more. Mm-hmm. Right?
And they will fight harder if they know that there is no way out.
Yeah, they'll fight harder if they know there's no way out. There's this whole principle about surrender is contagious, right? Mm-hmm. When you see your friend surrender and be treated well, it encourages you to surrender in a way that your friend dying doesn't encourage you to die, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and notably, generally, if you see your friend try to surrender and get cut down...
Right, then you definitely don't surrender.
No, in fact, you're not just incentivized, but usually also, emboldened.
Now you avenge him. So it's not just that they're evil, it's also that they're stupid.
They're not just evil, they're stupid evil.
Yeah. Zechs, again, is informing, knowing that they've been killed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear why Noin would, specifically need to be informed that her former students were killed, but he definitely is also, intentionally needling her that, also, you taught them wrong. We have trained them wrong as a joke.
Wasn't a very funny joke.
No. That's fair.
Then Zechs posits about the nature of war for a bit.
Or
waxes
whatever.
Philosophical.
He's going to do this a lot.
He does do this a lot.
Zechs. He goes Phil Milliardo for a moment.
Yeah. That ends that
plot line of the episode
portion of our program.
Yeah. We have to go to Trowa blowing himself up.
Well, attempting to blow himself up or getting ready to blow himself up.
up.
Trowa notices that he's got binoculars outside of a fence, watching as Oz is loading up their space forces as if preparing to deploy them to space.
Yeah, which will be relevant later.
Mm-hmm.
But also Oz, if you don't want people to spy on your base, put the fence further away from the base.
I think Trey's,
I
think Trey's wants them to see. I think Trey's is if
maybe
they can see what we're doing, they're more likely to fight us, and I want them to fight us.
That's true. That is how Trey's works. So, all right, fair enough. Maybe he's just playing 11th dimensional chess with the fence placement on his Oz bases.
Maybe. It's all part of his Keikaku.
Yeah. He also says, don't guard the fences. Don't watch to see if spies come up.
No spotlights, no landmines. Don't electrify
them. Let them see what we're doing because we want them to be able to gain intelligence and fight us.
Yeah, we want them to be emboldened to fight us.
Sure.
So, Trowa is planning to pull a Heero.
More or less. I mean, better than Heero, actually, because Heero just blew himself up. Trowa intends to take this base out and then blow himself up.
Yeah, he's gonna go down swinging. Is his plan.
Yeah,
he wants to go out in a blaze of glory, essentially.
He sure does. Which fair enough.
And he does this by... So the circus show is happening, and they're like, where's Trowa? And then Trowa...
Because we get the truck.
Oh, right. Yes.
Right. With the
mobile suit
ringmaster. And the ringmaster is like, gee, I wonder if what he's got planned is going to be fun.
Well, and he even says, oh, is that his apparatus?
Is that your apparatus for tonight under the tarp? And Trowa's like,
yup.
Sure. And it's like...
It's gonna be a banger.
One, this circus does not do rehearsals, right?
Nope.
Like I think we discussed this last time we saw their circus too, right? Where they like didn't know if a thing was gonna happen correctly. It's like, so you just never reherse anything.
Well, yeah, because Trowa showed up last minute for the knife throwing thing,
right? And like you don't check under the tarp. You haven't even asked him what the act is going to be. You're just like, I'm just gonna put him out there. And I'm going to hope it's entertaining.
And it is, for us, not for the Oz guys.
Yeah, for us it's very entertaining.
Because what Trowa does is throw the tarp off of his heavy arms in the middle of the circus tent.
And then the funny thing is...
Everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the best show ever!
Yeah, he then starts, like he points his gun up at the tent and, like, fires, and it destroys the tent, and he, like, destroys a plane that's flying over the tent. And then people start panicking?
Yeah, they don't panic when he first reveals.
They don't panic when he reveals that he has brought the Heavy Arms Gundam. They panic when he starts shooting.
And notably, this Gundam has appeared on the news shooting Oz forces. He has not changed the paint scheme. He's not disguised in any way. It's not like dressed as a giant clown.
There is a distinct moment where everyone in the circus, including the ringmaster, including Catherine, is... apparently thinking, man, this is a really cool circus performance by this giant military machine. Like...
with a giant gun!
Yeah, there is a distinct moment of, I hope it does a flip before it opens fire.
Yeah. It really is. I hope it does a flip.
Yeah. It's very weird.
Never mind that there's not enough room in that tent.
No,
for it to really do anything.
Not at all. But that's sure, whatever.
Well, that's why he got rid of the tent.
Yeah, correct. But anyway, then he
puts on a fireworks show.
Yeah, he slaughters all the other guys. It takes like 2 seconds. It's not even like an action scene. It just happens.
It's just Heavy Arms shooting things like Heavy Arms do.
Yeah, Heavy Arms does that.
But then Catherine realizes once again that he wants to die.
Yeah, Catherine looks at him and is like, what's his plan? Oh, that's what he means by auto detonation. He's gonna blow himself up.
He doesn't say auto detonation in front of her. She just goes,
he says something, because there is some term that she suddenly parses out.
Well, she goes, oh, he wants to die. I think she just straight up intuits that.
Anyway.
Well, either way, she realizes he's going to blow himself up.
Yeah.
And she charges towards the Gundam as
women in this series are wont to do.
Yes.
That's one thing you can say about the women in this series is they do not fear charging towards giant military machines on foot with the intent of yelling at them.
Yeah.
She Relinas him. She just Relinas him. She's his Relina. That's how this works.
Yeah. He makes the mistake of opening his cockpit.
Yeah, well, the first thing that happens is he saves her.
Yeah.
Right? Because like a Leo, that he had to totally destroy, gets up and shoots at her. God knows why it takes a shot at the civilian girl on the ground and not
the
Heavy Arms.
Yeah, the actual imminent threat.
Yeah. But I mean, we've established that at least some portion of the Oz military are psychopaths. So
yeah.
Sure. He was like, I can't possibly defeat Heavy Arms, but maybe I can murder this little girl. At least I'll have done so. At least I won't die with a KD ratio of 0.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's his plan.
But anyway, he jumps in front of her and blocks the shot with his leg in a very
he baseball slides in.
It's suave. Right? Yeah. It looks very, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Catherine is also ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then there's also
the
like,
mech is also sexy.
Yeah, there's also like, oh wait,
but also like, don't kill yourself.
Yeah. And he opens his
cockpit,
and he's like, you don't understand. I have to do this.
Yeah, and then she takes a flying leap, like off the wreckage towards the cockpit and punches him in the face.
Yeah, just straight punches some sense into Trowa.
Which, so, okay, technically speaking, she did in fact defeat Heavy Arms on foot while unarmed. Because, she did it by yelling at him till he opened his cockpit and then punching him.
Yeah.
But, it worked. That's closer than anyone has gotten to defeating a Gundam pilot so far. With the exception of maybe Lady Un. Who, defeated Heero by convincing him to blow himself up.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So, good job.
Yeah. This convinces Trowa to not blow himself up.
He figures out that being punched in the face is actually kind of hot.
Yeah. Trowa might be considering adding Catherine to the throuple.
Yeah, or something. But yeah, he's like, okay, I guess I won't. And then
they cut to...
we cut to them in the truck with Heero, and they're leaving.
And Catherine's like, talks to Heero saying, you're the one who corrupted my Trowa with your ideas of blowing themselves up.
When she says something about, him having been raised in the circus.
Yeah, that's as they're driving away. The ringmaster is like, I'm really gonna miss that kid.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he'll be back.
He was raised in the circus.
Yeah, we helped raise him in this circus.
He knew you for 2 months.
Yeah.
And this was like a 9 to 5 so he could eat.
It was literally a 9 to 5 so he could eat and provide a cover so that he could blow shit up.
Yeah.
On his off time.
For his people real in this show are really dense sometimes.
Yes, they are.
And then I believe that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. We will carry on with episode 15 next time. Yeah. This has been episode 7 of Mecha Rewatch. Thank you all for listening / watching, depending on what methodology you are going about consuming this media. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.
See ya.